Got a white boy on my roster, he be feeding me pasta and lobster. He just hit me up on Tuesday, like, what you doing, babe? Let me take you shopping. I told him, well, I'm a little busy. He said, damn, I'm in your city. But anyway, it's okay, hope you have a good day. I'ma see you by day 50. Then I told him, you treat me so well. He said, cash out Brazil. Matter of fact, scratch that, I'ma send you a stat just cause you fine as hell. And I told him, well, thank you, baby. Anything for my favorite lady. Well, I gotta go. They just let me know that I could pick up my Mercedes.
Okay, so if you have not been living under a rock, Black women are all over the internet as I speak, worshiping white men. A lot of what I'm going to say sounds like an exaggeration. I'm not exaggerating. They are online talking about white men are better, white men are the answer, white men make us happier, white men treat us better. I know you're lying. Stop lying. Men are men. And this is coming from a woman that has dated outside of her race. You can tell that a lot of those people that push that whole white men are perfect narrative on Black women, they're from the hood and they have no proximity to whiteness. And they're speaking from a point of view that they don't understand, because a lot of people who are struggling and that live in the hood, they think that all white people are rich. It's kind of the same thing as how immigrants think that all Americans have money. You see this on 90 Day Fiancé when the people that are just looking for a green card, they think that they're about to come live this like lavish life in a mansion in America, and actually they went and got an American Dusty. It's the same exact thing. You have no proximity to whiteness. You are from the hood, so you think that all white men are perfect. And then you're pushing this delusional narrative onto other Black women. And you guys have really let that get to your head so much to where you are worshiping them on the internet, literally pedestalizing these men. And it's so embarrassing. There is good and bad men in every single race. You have to vet their character. You have to vet their morals. How is his fruit? Are you dating a man, all he does is play video games, gamble, drink, smoke, go to the strip club? Probably not a good man. How is his fruit? That's how you want to find a partner. Keep in mind, I'm not even a dating coach, but I am a wise woman and I know how to spot good and bad people. It is very unwise to encourage women to date someone solely off of their race. And they'll get in the comments and talking about, no, they say vet the character too. Stop. You guys are all over the internet worshiping white men, period. You know, and the reality is they'll get online and say that white men just love Black women. In real life, the majority are not really checking for Black women like that. They're just not. Most people like to date within their race. So what's going to happen is you're going to be so thirsty for a white man that you're going to accept any type of white man that comes to you. And this is what I see a lot with people that like to interracially date. You tend to get the scraps, the leftovers of that race that their own race didn't even want. So like the white man that you're with, Becky would never. And you can flip this either way. I see this in all scenarios. When a Black man dates out, he's usually getting the Becky that the Brads didn't even want. You have to work on yourself if you want to see results. Forget the fact that you have a bad attitude. Forget the fact that you're morbidly obese. Forget the fact that you look a hot mess with these long nails, the lace front wig, the long eyelashes. Forget the fact that your attitude is horrible. Every other word is a curse word. We're actually just going to go to white men because they're the answers. These people are not working on themselves. And it's the same thing as the passport bros. It's the same thing as the incel community. It's the same thing as all of those communities. They don't work on themselves and then they want to override that and then go out the country to go find somebody. Or they want to override that, the fact that they're not getting any success where they're at, and then they want to go date a white man. So that's what I noticed with people who interracially date. They usually get the scraps of that race. They get the leftovers. Like, it's a stereotype. When a Black man gets a white woman, she's usually extremely overweight. The trailer trash type. It's like the white man would never. But that's what happens when you're dating specifically on a skin tone. You are so desperate to have that skin tone, you'll take any type of white man. And that's the reality. And, you know, a lot of women, what I notice is when women do take care of men and they date these losers, they lie. They don't tell the truth when it comes to that. So a lot of women on Valentine's Day, they will buy themselves gifts and then lie and act like the man bought it for them. They'll pay for all the dates and then lie and tell their friends, oh, he paid for it. He's providing for me. A lot of women do that. So you won't find that out unless you're nosy like me. So I am nosy, and I found out that in real life, a lot of the divestors, I know one in real life, she hates black men. She's always hated them. And so she was so thirsty for a white man that she ended up getting this loser white man who didn't have a job for 3 years, and she had to take care of him. That's the reality of divesting. They're getting the scraps, the leftovers. Online, they're going to tell you that they're all dating millionaires. That is false. No, they're not. For the average person. What I notice is women tend to lie. So when they get online and they're all trying to sell this narrative, and it's funny because one person actually said they be trying to influence black women to date white men like they're the Jehovah's Witness. You know how Jehovah's Witnesses knock on doors and they're influencing you to like believe in Christ and stuff like that? That's literally what black women do when it comes to recruiting other black women to date white men. They act like the Jehovah's Witnesses. And they're going to lie to you and tell you, oh my God, these men are superior. They're better than any other man. Oh my gosh, they just make you so much happier. That is false. Men are men. And like I said, I have dated outside of my race. If it's one thing that I've learned from dating outside of my race is that any man is capable of pain, of causing you pain. And my worst heartbreak was actually from a white boy, to be honest. I don't know. When they break your heart, they break your heart. They just have that evilness that's been in the history, in their genes. They do their big one. My dad always said those people are demonic. I don't know. After my dating experience, I can't argue with that. But yeah, nobody is perfect. So anytime a woman's getting online acting like some type of category of man is just picture perfect, because literally that's what black women are doing online. Like literally. I cannot emphasize that enough. They are capping, they're lying. When women are miserable, they tend to keep it in. Like, we'll never know this. Like a lot of married women, they're miserable. And then they put on this front to the world like they're happy. A lot of people are only married for a front. They're only married to show off. Oh, I'm married and you're not. That's why they're married. They're sitting over there miserable the whole time and you will never know. That's one thing that I learned about women. You won't really know what they're actually going through. So that's why I'm telling you what they're actually going through. They're getting the dusties of the white men. For the average divester, they are. It's like Becky would never even look at his way twice.
But the black woman with her tongue out, drooling on TikTok, talking about pasta and lobster, she'll take them. She will take Becky's scraps and leftovers happily.
And it's not even only with black women. I see this even with other brown girls. I see this with Indian girls, Mexican girls, Asian girls. They will sit up there and worship this basic looking white boy. So women in general do that a lot with white men. It's not even just dark-skinned black women. And you're just so pressed to have a white boy that you will take any type. That's the problem with this. I think another talking point that the divestors like to talk about, especially Cynthia G and them, they always said how black men are going to leave you a single baby mom. And you think that the white man won't? Once again, I knew a divester in real life. She thought the same exact thing. She went and had a baby with a white man. And guess what he did? Left her a single mom too. Men are men. That's why you have to vet the character. There's good and bad men in every single race. And the thing is, I'm not even hating. I know people are going to say, you're hating. I've dated outside of my race. That's why I'm telling you the Yelp review of dating outside of your race. People are the same. You have to date someone based on their morals, their fruits, their character. That's the one lesson that I learned from dating outside of my race. It's not really all that special. It's not really all that different. The people that think it is have not actually dated outside of their race for a long period of time. You're still in the idealization phase. You're still in the fantasy phase where you think it's just going to be so magical, white picket fence. No, a human is a human. So I'm just telling you basically what I have learned. I'm debunking the la la land that you're on, that these people who come online have put you on. And I'm telling you the reality. I have dated outside of my race and he was not dusty.
I've dated outside of my race multiple times, but all of the times their families were wealthy. They lived in the richest part of town. So Yeah, I don't have a dusty dating experience, but I see what the other women are getting.
But he did cause me a lot of pain. But I know a lot of women who are dating Dusties. All I'm saying is, don't be slow. You should be open to dating black men. Absolutely. You should be open to dating all colors. And that goes for anyone. But to specifically just fixate on one group of man, it's very weird. It's embarrassing. And this is why I do the videos that I do, calling it out. So there will be more videos in the future where I call out the other communities. I've already called out the colorism community. Moved on from that. Now we're on to the divestors. After I move on to that, we'll talk about the incels. Then we'll talk about the passport bros. Because like I said, I see what they're doing. They're having issues in their own communities. And so they're not looking at themselves internally and asking themselves, why am I repelling people? Okay? You're going to notice a common theme in my videos. I don't like when people do not work on themselves and then take shortcuts and then think they're about to go see results. If you are dusty, you're going to attract dusty.
Yep, because everywhere you go, guess what? There you are. That's right. So you can run away all you want, but you can't outrun yourself. You're gonna have to come to the reality of why you keep attracting the same scenarios into your life. You are the common denominator of your life.
And I want to just point out how the energy is just so not reciprocated. I've yet to see a white man returning the same worshiping energy. Some of them do, but you can tell they're just clout chasing because that's just an easy way of like getting views. Just tell black women, oh, I love black queens. Psh, easily getting 5 million views because the black women are in the comment section eating it up. Okay, so I also want to play this one video. This man said that he went on a date with a black woman. It was a white man. He went on a date with a black woman. And he said that she was googly eyeing over him the entire date. And I think that's what made me want to do this video because I'm like, enough is enough. Thinking, okay, hopefully it's just the online worshiping. Hopefully by the time they get on the date, they know to cut that stuff down. So you mean to tell me you're over here worshiping these white men on the literal date? That's crazy.
No, stop living in your fantasy world that white guys are somehow perfect. I'm just so sick and tired of it. Because I was approached by a black woman recently through social media. She said she liked me. I was like, okay. I took her out for a date. And the whole date was just her basically fawning over me. Not because of who I am, because I'm actually a shit person. I'm not going to lie. I'm not I really don't think I'm a great individual. I messed up a lot in my life, and I regret it. And, though I'm trying to improve, I'm in no way worthy of this kind of flattery. I'm not deserving of anything like it. And the whole thing was because I was white. So, to say I was offended, yeah, I think I was. Because that's the only thing that mattered, was the fact that I'm white. We are not the best dating option. Dead serious. There's other people out there. And I know for a fact, black women, there are black men who are, as just in character, are better than I am. They're nicer than I am. They have a superior disposition when in public. Much more patient than I am. I want black women to have a lot more self-respect than they do now. Kind of just like worshiping white guys. Again, we aren't deserving of any kind of flattery. We're no better than black men or Hispanic men or Asian men. A lot of us have personal issues. Gripes we still have yet to deal with.
And I believe it 100%. And that's why I'm like, okay, enough is enough, because even they know what you're on. And eventually you're going to create this stereotype that Black women are desperate for white men. People take advantage of desperate people. Like, people see, okay, you're desperate. How much can I get out of you? What are you willing to do for me? How can I use you? A lot of the divestors, they end up in really bad scenarios. I just think overall it is a dumb dating strategy. I know online they're trying to do the Jehovah Witness thing where they're just persuading you so hard that white men are the answer and white men are gods. They can do no wrong and they're perfect. They are lying to you. Women lie. They're not going to tell you that the white man that they're with is an actual bestie. But see, nosy people like me end up finding out information like that for you.
Another thing I want to say is also try to keep in mind when you are dating outside of your race and you're going to those strict communities that a lot of the men that are in certain cultures, like for example, the Muslim religion, what they'll do is they will play with the American woman and waste your time and date you for like 5 years. And then when their family is pressuring them to get married, their family will pressure them to marry a girl in his own culture, religion, background, and so on. And he will put you back on the shelf and they really won't take you seriously. So I don't see that happening too often with white men, but I do see that with other colored men, such as like Middle Eastern men and so on. Indian men are notorious for doing that. So just be careful and wary of that. When you interracial date, you're taking a very big risk. And you have to just be very cautious of stuff like that. And of course, like I said, these types of things can happen in any scenario, but that is something that I want to warn you about. So just make sure you're educated on stuff like that. Because a lot of them, their family will not let them mix their bloodline. They just won't. And they're very strict about, no, we need you to carry on the bloodline. Like, I know some Africans, I know this one Ethiopian girl, her bloodline, when she takes the ancestry DNA test, she is 100% Ethiopian. Like, some ethnic backgrounds and groups, they don't play about mixing, but they will play with you until they're ready to settle down. So don't be that type of girl.
If you are not Middle Eastern and you're dating a Middle Eastern man, this is for you. Run. Run, and let me tell you why. He'll date you for a few years. He'll tell you he loves you. He'll never introduce you to his parents. You'll never meet his family. And when the time is right, his mother will choose a wife for him of the appropriate Middle Eastern heritage. And he will act like you never existed because he will marry her. And chances are she is his cousin. Just saying.
But all right, I'm going to leave you guys with some commentaries, some videos that I found, and I'll catch you guys soon.
I can't help but notice on TikTok, specifically with Black women, there's like an obsession with dating white men. And like, what's going on? There's like nothing wrong with dating outside your race, but this white boy obsession, specifically within Black women, like, oh, does he like black girls? Does he like black girls? It just feels a little bit regressive, I'm not gonna lie. Like, date who you want, but I don't understand the hyper focusing. I don't understand the hype. Like, maybe it missed me, but like...
So I'm not here to try to convince any woman that they need to date or marry any particular race. I just believe in having honest conversations. And unfortunately, when Black women talk about interracial relationships, it's usually dishonest. Oftentimes what happens is that we had bad or failed experiences in the Black community, and then we want to take those broken pieces of ourselves and then bring it into the white community without first being self-reflective. If you can literally say an entire people group, an entire race of men is better than another race, that means you probably don't know them. Because if you actually knew white people, you would know that they also have struggles, that they also have issues. I mean, 80% of Americans, just about 80%, live paycheck to paycheck, including white people. So no, white men aren't going over here, all of them with trust funds, buying their women houses, flying them out on yachts, just treating them like goddesses. No, that is a literal fantasy and fairy tale. As I mentioned before, if white men were treating all of their women like queens, then feminism would not have been started. Feminism literally was started by white women who were unhappy with their position in society. They wanted more power. They wanted more access to wealth. They wanted more agency. So no, that's not true. Also, white men treat us better but they don't marry us. Currently, about 1% of white men in the United States of America have a black wife. I'm not talking about a girlfriend. I'm not talking about a side piece. I'm talking about wife. So I think what women don't always understand is that sexual access is not marital access. And just because a man will pay you attention, may even sleep with you, may buy you a drink to get you in bed, does not mean he intends to marry you. They have expectations of their family. Their family wants to keep power and control in their family, in their race, or in their group, whatever it may be. And so even if that person did want to date and marry out, the expectations of the family, that may also deter them to staying within their own race. And so this is what this is what I don't think women understand. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. I mean, white men have had access to black women literally since the beginning of this nation. So if there was a huge interest and if they had a huge interest to marry us interracially, to mix with us, then that would have happened by now. That literally would have happened, but it hasn't. Interracial, um, intercourse, if you will, that's always been going on. But as far as marriage, getting together, settling down, building legacies, sharing wealth, all that kind of different stuff, it's separate for a reason. And people marry within their class, within their race for a reason, to maintain power, to maintain control, to maintain the current system. And this is what I think oftentimes is not talked about when you're talking about marrying, especially when you're talking about marrying out. So, no, sexual access is not marital access. It's just not. Yes, I definitely believe that a lot of black women get their ideas about white men from television and not from real life, because there are many white people out there today who struggle financially, who struggle with emotional issues, distress issues, anxiety. Like 80% of Americans, just about 80% of them live paycheck to paycheck. Again, that's including white people. So a lot of these fantasies and these ideas that black women have, it's definitely a Disney fantasy, and it is not based upon reality at all.
Do
At
you know
all.
that one song that goes, got a white boy on my roster, he be feeding me pasta and lobster? I don't know what kind of Caucasian she was talking about, but it wasn't this kind. Dalton, have you ever even had lobster?
I don't think so.
Got a white boy on my roster, he be feeding me 7-Eleven hot dogs and monsters. The whole song is misleading. If you think being in a relationship with a Caucasian is all pastas and lobsters and rainbows and sunshines and good credit, you're wrong. You're wrong, because it's not.
Who wants a pasta and lobster boy anyways when you can have a good old redneck?